everybody, my name is Matt and you are watching Broke Rednecks Prepping. What I want to talk to you today about is something a little different. A lot of preppers talk about all the preps they have: food, clothes, water, bug out location. What they never really talk about is safety. Now I point that out because whether you're preparing for an SHTF situation, grid down, zombie apocalypse, or you're just preparing for something like a hurricane or a tornado or something that's likely to happen, a natural disaster, a short-term thing. One of the things nobody ever talks about is just safety materials. I mean, people have mentioned a first aid kit, and that's the first thing I'm going to mention. Get a first aid kit. Get a lot of first aid kits. Because you may need a first aid kit that is more for construction stuff. You may need a first aid kit that's for bug bites or burns. Depends on what you're preparing for. But have more than one. Because remember this rule when it comes to first aid stuff: 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is always better. But anyway, beyond the first aid kit, there are some other safety items that I don't think preppers think about. If you're planning to live in a cabin in the woods and ride out the zombie apocalypse, or you're planning to have a bug out location or just bug out in town, life is going to be a whole lot more like it would be on a construction site for you than it would be in an office. And as somebody who works in construction, oil field specifically, one of the things that I have found is vitally important is your safety equipment. Now, first thing I'm going to talk about on safety equipment is actually your safety glasses. These are Blue Lens Crossfire safety glasses. I wear them as sunglasses. Every pair of sunglasses I own is safety rated. And I do that so that I don't ever have to grab the wrong pair or something like that. They work just as well as regular sunglasses. If you like your higher end stuff, Oakley or something like that, they make safety glasses too. But you want to have something that's going to protect your eyes. Now from a standpoint, a prepper standpoint, it's not a big leap that if grid's down, you're having to deal with a natural disaster or anything else, that you could get something in your eyes. You could impact your eyes, you could hurt them. A good pair of safety glasses is worth a lot of money. Now, the ones I wear, about $10 a piece. You can get them a little cheaper online sometimes. But if you're wanting to stock up, as a lot of preppers do, these are Pyramex. They're wraparound padded safety glasses. They're about $8 a pair. You can buy them in bulk real easy at a lot of safety stores. And if you just want some generic, good quality safety glasses or clear lens safety glasses, you can find those a lot of times for $2-3 a pair at Walmart or at a lot of your Home Depot or hardware stores. You can also go to a safety shop and buy really good quality ones in bulk for only a couple dollars a piece. So if you want to have 100 pairs of safety glasses or something along those lines, because after all, in a grid down situation, one, you might have to prepare for other people, but they also might be decent barter items. A lot of the little things we don't think about in a grid down situation are going to become valuable, like sunglasses or something along those lines. So anyway, make sure that in your preps you've got some good quality safety glasses. I always do. I wear them all the time. So, something to think about. I'd also recommend steel-toed boots. Now, I know a lot of preppers don't like this because they're going to be hiking through the woods and doing whatever it is they're going to do in the woods all the time. But whether you're preparing for a natural disaster or a grid down situation, again, it goes back to construction. Either situation, whether it's a tornado or hurricane or earthquake, or, the electrical grid went down because North Korea hacked something, there's going to be construction involved. You're going to have to move things. You're not going to have medical services close by. The last thing you need to do is smash your foot or something. The same with eye protection. A minor injury today may be a life-altering thing in a grid down situation. And a good pair of steel-toed boots, personally, I like the Wolverines, but there are other pairs. You need something you can walk in comfortably, you can hike in. It's preferably water-resistant. But if you get steel-toe, you're also got some protection. And if you ever need to kick somebody in the shin, steel-toe will screw them up. So anyway, a lot of people spend a lot of money on hiking boots, but do consider a good pair of steel-toed boots. They're worth a lot. Something else a lot of preppers don't talk about. A lot of preppers are constantly like, they have to have 67 guns and 100,000 rounds of ammo. But I meet very few of them that think about a bulletproof vest. Now, a lot of the guys that do have them are going to get the big tack vest that weighs 60 pounds. And, they look cool and will stop a bullet usually. But anybody can see that you've got it. They're gonna treat you differently. Sometimes for a couple $100 or a little more, you can get a good solid bulletproof vest. It's going to stop any pistol round, which is most likely what you're going to get hit with. They'll also help with knives and things like that. But it's worth going to an Army surplus or a safety store or or a security supply store and just getting yourself a decent bulletproof vest. Something you could wear under your clothes that doesn't necessarily say, hey, I'm packing, I'm tactical, but at the same time will protect you. I didn't bring one in because, well, it's in the truck and I didn't want to, but it's worth having, and you can get them in all different sizes. I very rarely hear preppers talk about soap, specifically antibiotics, antibacterial soap. Now, I throw that out because, I mean, guys are going to live off the grid, they're going to make soap out of goat's milk, but that's really not going to kill the bacteria on your hands. Any of us who've ever been camping and not washed our hands enough and then made dinner knows what happens if you can't clean yourself and get that bacteria off. It's unpleasant. You're going to spend a lot of time in the Boy Scout latrine. So antibacterial soap is cheap. You can get it anywhere. You can buy it by the gallon at the store for $8, $9. It's not very expensive, and it'll last you a long time. But antibacterial soap will go a long way. Along those same lines, antibiotics would be really handy. Now, I know there's some issues, some FDA issues, but you'll want some basic things like penicillin, just little stuff that, I mean, if you don't have access to medical services, I mean, a penicillin shot or pills can be the difference between life and death. I mean, you look at wars in previous centuries, part of the reason the casualty count was so high wasn't because people were killed by a stab wound or a gunshot that was in and of itself fatal. It was actually the infection afterwards that got them. I mean, that's part of the reason our murder rate has gone down in the US and Europe. It's not that fewer people are trying to kill other people. Our attempted murder rate has gone up. It's just our medical services are doing a better job at saving those lives. And the number one thing that they always do anytime somebody's injured, especially if it opens the skin and involves blood, is they look at antibiotics. So seriously consider having at least a small stockpile with your other stuff. I know a lot of hardcore preppers are going to think of that, but it's something that even just people who are living in the country or homesteading or something like that might want to have. I also have down here gloves. You got two types of gloves. First one is your work gloves. These are basic leather gloves. They're a couple dollars a piece at Tractor Supply or Lowe's or somewhere. They're pretty handy. I always keep a pair of these in the truck. If you've had a natural disaster situation or more of them like we have, one of the things we found to be really handy, because you're having to move branches, I mean, think big storms, stuff like that. Even if it's not a grid down situation, it's just, I don't know, tornado or hurricane or tropical storm or something, or just a big thunderstorm. Why scrape up your hands on tree bark and all that? A couple dollars for leather gloves is worth a lot. It also keeps you from getting bug bites and things like that. They're pretty handy. However, for a grid down situation, a lot of people tell me that they're going to build their own cabin in the woods. They're going to chop down the trees and have the logs and shave them and turn it into an awesome log cabin like you'd see on better homes in Southern Living or something. And the one thing that I think with that is a lot of those people have never actually done that. So, but if you ever drop something heavy on your hand, it hurts really, really bad. It can actually ruin your hand. Well, in a grid down situation, whether it's a natural disaster again or something more long lasting, a minor hand injury could be life altering. If you're planning to subsist off your property or hunting or whatever else, not being able to use your hand, especially your dominant one, can be something that's the difference between life and death. So one of the things I recommend is a good pair of impact gloves. Now, on these impact gloves, you'll notice they're kind of yellow and they got the black stuff on top. That black stuff on top is about 1/4 inch thick rubber. Now these gloves are expensive. They're about $50 a pair. I'm stocked up on a few pairs. But the thing is, those things, if you drop something heavy on your hand, will go a long way to keep bones from breaking. I've worked on construction sites where everybody out there wears a pair of these. They're worth the $50. Guys are constantly dropping a wrench or a hammer or something small that might break one of the fine bones in your hand that otherwise they're fine with one of these. It's better to have something zing you a little bit when you drop something heavy than to have it shatter your hand. And no matter what you do, a pair of gloves like that will mitigate an injury. So if you guys are preparing for a serious grid down situation or you just want to go live off the grid, do consider a good pair of impact gloves, because that can be the difference between a serious injury and an annoying injury. And the one thing we want to prevent if we're preparing for medical systems to be possibly being down, we want to make sure that we don't have injuries, because a broken bone or a broken hand or a cut that requires 8 or 10 stitches can be deadly. And we want to avoid that. So it's worth spending. There are cheaper versions of gloves like this. You can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot. Talk to them, price compare, look at buying in bulk. But I'll tell you this, a lot of people are going to be like, I'm not paying $50 for a pair of gloves. I'm just not going to drop the hammer. Well, fine. But I can tell you, if they're in a grid down situation and they break their dominant hand, they're going to wish they spent the $50. So anyway, something to think about there. Another thing, a lot of preppers, as far as prepper safety, friends. And I know that sounds stupid. You can't prep for friends. You can't put them in the cabinet somewhere and wait for the grid to go down. But do understand that having a buddy goes a long way. If you do fall and sprain your ankle and you can't walk back to camp, having somebody help limp you back is worth something. Having somebody to watch your back, have somebody to be awake when you're asleep if there's a bad situation. Hell, having somebody help you lift heavy stuff or even cumbersome stuff, that's worth a lot. And I know some preppers have groups, and some preppers believe that they're going to gray man it and put on a backpack and walk into the woods or something. But the one thing we found in life is the lone wolves don't survive, the pack does. So make sure as a prepper that you've got some friends, somebody that preps like you do, or at least has your mindset, or somebody that even if they don't prep, they're useful and you're like, screw it, I can pack some extra ramen noodles and beans for them because they're good at other things. But make sure you've got people you can rely on, a network, a community, something. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing about safety is having somebody watch your back. You drive by any construction site in the country, if you see a forklift or a crane, you're going to see somebody spotting for that guy. They very rarely send guys to do a job by themselves. And it's so if an accident happens, especially a minor one, the buddy can help out. They can either give first aid or get them out or help them notice a danger ahead of time. Friends, that's worth a lot. So anyway, that's my little prepper safety list. There's probably a lot of things I could put on it, but I wanted to start the discussion because I found that comments and direct messages are actually quite useful in helping me find other things I can use. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. This is Broke Rednecks Prepping. Like, subscribe, hit the little notification thing. Throw us a comment. I'd like to hear what you think. Anyway, I appreciate you watching and hope to see you next time.